Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and we are looking at One Piece chapter 991. As always, this is based on spoiler and release, so take the translation and the assumptions with a grain of salt. And as always, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification icon so you're notified every time I make a new video. So without further ado, let's get into this review. One Piece chapter 991. Just to get the cover page out of the way, we see a touching reunion between Chiffon, Lola and Pound. They've reunited and finally hugged after 26 years. Literally since the day they've been born, he's not been able to hold them in his arms. So from a fatherly point of view, that's actually kind of cool. From a narrative and storytelling point of view, I'm kind of done with the whole thing. So I'm hoping this is done and we'll get something more interesting coming up in these cover page stories. That being said, a lot of things happen in this chapter and I want to kind of break it down bit by bit. A lot of tiny tidbits and revelations and kind of reconfirmations what I assumed. Let's get into it though. So X-Drake has a flashback of a conversation he had with Kobe, and they talk about Luffy's ability to attract people, him being a good guy, that sort of thing. And I like that it's been expanded upon because we only saw like a quick flashback of Kobe saying he's incredible before, and then, let me join. I'm alone. I need friends. I'm billion mates right now. We get the answer. A lot of people assumed something different would happen, just a change of pace. But Luffy accepted. He said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Really is what should happen if you think about it. He's still that naive character. He's still very gullible, and he stays true to that character. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. It takes people like Frankie, like Zoro, like Jinbei to like say, listen, no, we don't trust this guy. We don't know this guy, and they say no. And for them people to say no, it means something. And Jinbei says, listen, you've basically just run off from your team, who you just joined recently anyway. And it's like, how can we trust you? And then Zoro clashes with him because he's got no reason to trust him, and he doesn't know him, so why would he? I mean, the only thing he knows about him is he's a pirate. We know he's part of Swords, but he's a pirate who's essentially a rival to Luffy, so why would he? And the fact that Zoro clashes with him is a good thing because he ain't scared of no captains. He's going to be the strongest swordsman. He'll fight everybody, and I like that. This kind of gets interrupted a little bit by Appo talking about X-Drake joining the weak pirates. Pisses off Zoro, and that gives him something in common with X-Drake because X-Drake doesn't like him either. So they're like, we're after you, mate. F you. We're after you. And they're going to take him down. So I like that. So they've gone from having nothing in common to having something in common, and this will hopefully lead to something in the future. Unfortunately, in their segment of the fight, we also find that Queen has pulled out her Gatling gun and started shooting bullets. What plague has she used? We don't know yet. Hopefully we're going to find out. Chopper isn't really directly close to them, so we can't get an analysis, but hopefully in the next couple of chapters we'll find out. I'm hoping also that because of the character traits that we've seen previously of a person like Zoro, that he can tank it or at least defend himself to the point where he can enjoy it long enough for them to deal with it later. I don't want this to be a nerfing element to Zoro, as we have seen in the past, and hopefully we'll get something interesting. Does this mean X-Drake and Zoro versus Queen? Or is it going to be like a tag team, Queen and Appo versus Zoro and X-Drake? So that is interesting. That we're going to have to look forward to. With that being said, there's other things that we find out about Appo. Appo is pretty much the Pied Piper at this point, because we get told that it's his responsibility to look after the numbers, and that the numbers are basically losing because they're drunk. Now, this is interesting in two ways, because what it does, it gives you an excuse for them to lose, because I'm hoping this is something we're going to expand upon. We don't want to really lose the mystique of the Giants in terms of strength, because I'm assuming we're going to have an Elbaf arc soon, whether or not this chapter this arc, maybe the arc after. So within 2 arcs, I guess. So I'm hoping and I'm liking the fact that by doing this, we're getting told, yeah, these lot are failed ancient giants, but they're drunk, that's why they're losing, or they're weaker and they're kind of fumbling about. And if they were sober, they'd be stronger. So that when we do get to see more giants or ancient giants in the future, in a future arc or two, we can be more enamored about their power, and then hopefully because of the growth that Luffy and the crew are having, that they can show that yeah, we're strong too. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a thing moving forward. We see 8, who's basically flying about now, and he's distracted by Frankie thinking it's a toy, and I think that's what they thought last time as well when they picked up the Brachio tank. So I'm hoping that this is a kind of a gag that we can carry on with, because even Big Mom found Frankie interesting. Jinbei is basically telling him, like, distract him, taking him away, which hopefully clears the space for a lot of these other battles, because he is a big obstacle. He's literally a giant, and he's a big obstacle in an enclosed space. So getting him out of the way, even if it's momentarily, is a good thing. Besides that, I think the next thing I found interesting in the dome itself was the whole thing with Page One and Ulti, for a few different reasons. Number one, the main thing is we know what they're doing. Being that the 6 Top Europa are essentially under the All-Stars, and we know X-Drake is kind of moving to our side. There's 5 more. Now, Black Maria is not really involved in this conversation. We haven't even seen her for a while. And we know about Sasuke just being freed recently, so he will be involved at some point. So that's 3 of the 6. We know who's about somewhere, so he's going to be involved at some point, because he was literally on the platform when they were about to execute X-Drake, and we know Hawkins is about as well, even though he's not Tobiropo. That being said, it's good to know what everyone's doing, because ultimately it knows where the chess pieces are in this battle, so that later on it's not really an unbelievable feat for him to reappear and say, oh yeah, I was here the whole time. We get an idea based on these different, mentionings at least, or brief panels of them. Anyway, Page One turns into his Spinosaurus form. Again, why he's not going hybrid, I don't know. And he gets attacked by Usopp, who hides behind Nami. Ulti is obviously angry, being the older sister here, and basically, who done that? And Nami's like, yeah, I did that. What are you going to do about it? And starts running. Obviously, it's Usopp, but she takes the heat. Now, what this ultimately does is it keeps them too distracted. And that's important, because we've been shown that they're actually decently powerful. I mean, they've taken a bit of a beating. They take a licking and they keep on ticking. So it's good to get them out of the picture for the timing, like we've done with Big Mom, so that we can deal with these characters and maybe deal with them later. So this whole hybrid thing is important, so we're going to come to that, because the hybrid form is meant to be the strongest of all the forms that the Zone users, Devil Fruit users have. So they take the best of the human traits, the best of the whatever your monster form is, and combined, and you're getting the best of both worlds. So the hybrid form is meant to be the strongest. We saw that with Rob Lucci, and we've seen this kind of tanking feat with X-Drake tanking the explosion in the last couple of chapters. So the hybrid form is important, and we're not really seeing the guy Page One use it for some reason. We have seen him in that form, but just for some reason he's not going into it. Is it taxing on the body? We haven't really had that explained. That being said, let's move on to upstairs, and this is where things get interesting. We see that Jack's taken a beating. He has taken his beating to the point where his tusk has been broken and is about to keel over and die anytime soon. And we get a conversation where essentially Kaido steps in and he's saying, now you take a break. It's not that you're weak. It's because they're strong. And we see this beautiful panel of Ino Arashi and Nekomamushi in their Sulong forms, looking boss ass. And I don't know if it's just the pose or the way it's been drawn, but it literally looks like Neko's like, come on, baby, let's fight. I'm ready for the fight. Put him up. It literally looks like he's ready for a fight. He's like, come on. So I like the fact that one, this has happened because he deserved it. Jack, for all the stuff that he did on Zoro, he needed a beating. He got that. Again, where's his hybrid form? It makes me think that this guy's got some type of performance issue. Maybe he can't go into hybrid form because he gets teased a lot by King and Queen. Maybe this is the reason why. Maybe he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm not as strong as you lot. Or maybe him seeing what's going to happen to Kaido, which I'll mention in a second, will push him to go into hybrid form because everyone else in that crew's basically been taken down. There's only Jack and Kaido left. I know a lot of the other minks seem to have been defeated, other than Arashi and Nakamushi, and then the rest of the scabbards. But by Kaido jumping in, it showed that the other side of Kaido, he's very caring of his subordinates. He's honor bound, I guess, to a certain degree, and we've seen little sprinkles of that in previous chapters. But the fact that he says, "Look, you're not weak; they're just strong." One respects the Sulong forms of Arashi Nakamushi, and two, he understands what he's going through. That being said, how long have they been in Sulong form? How long did he take a beating for? Because the previous fight that they had lasted many days when they were on Zoro. Has it been that long? Obviously not, because otherwise we've got a big time difference between what's going on downstairs and what's going on upstairs. But we don't know. We haven't been given enough time. And the fact that that's not addressed might be a plot convenience later on. That being said, Kaido flies up, does his big-ass blast, and the foxfire man himself cuts it and cuts Kaido. And that is really important. Because previously, we see that they damaged the scar and like, oh yeah, it's convenient that he was reminded of him. He's traumatized. This says otherwise. This says that they're able to damage Kaido, and the final speech at the end really kind of solidifies that. And the title chapter, Please Let Us Die, really solidifies that. And it's the key thing about this war, really. These scabbards are willing to die. They're literally putting everything on the line. And I think because of that, because it's a death battle, I think essentially the techniques are kind of like amplify this, like a flight or fight situation. They're ready to fight. They're ready to die for their cause. I think the Haki's blooming, the Ryo's blooming, and it's really being effective because of that. With that being said, this also sets the tone, because ultimately, if you want to fight a Yonko, you've got to be prepared to die. And that's literally what this is illustrating. Are they going to die? I mean, there's flags everywhere for that. We're going to have to wait and see. Is one of them going to die? I mean, there was a whole thing about Raizo being protected and saying he was going to pay them back. Is this how he's going to die? We don't know. We don't get anything about what's going on with the leader of the Oniwa Banshu, big ears forehead guy, and the ninjas leader, as well as the samurai's leader, Hyote. We don't see them in this chapter at all, so that's interesting. Is Kanjuro really dead? Is Orochi really dead? We don't really know that. It's not really been confirmed. Is this going to be a thing that we're going to have to look out for? Probably. That being said, lovely chapter, lovely ending. That speech at the end with Kinemon saying they're ready to die as samurai of Odin is really telling that they're giving it all, and that's what I think is contributing to a little bit of this damage. So that might be a thing in the future. So with that being said, long review. So thank you for your patience. As always, please enjoy, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.